Welcome to County Magazine, a chance to find out what's new across Fairfax County. I'm Brian Ashby. On this edition, part 2 in our series on the complex problem of hoarding. Plus, Arts Fairfax puts the focus on poetry from all around the county. Hoarding is the extreme and persistent collection of possessions or trash inside a home that creates a dangerous and unhealthy living situation. In part 2 of our exploration, we'll meet a county resident afflicted by hoarding and reveal the causes and effects of this community hazard.
Hoarding disorder can affect people of all ages, races, genders, nationalities, educational background, and socioeconomic levels. This serious mental health disorder affects people's cognitive function, causing them to have extreme personal attachments to things, poor decision-making skills, and difficulty getting rid of too many possessions that are no longer useful. Any efforts to assist in cleaning, organizing, and not acquiring new items can cause people with this disorder to experience distress, anxiety, and even depression. This mindset leads to feelings of being overwhelmed and alone, especially if there are too many animals living in the home.
For the Community Services Board, we encounter individuals with hoarding disorder. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM-5, classifies psychiatric illness in individuals. In 2013, hoarding disorder became a specific diagnosis. Yet it can still exist with other related disorders, a term called comorbidity of conditions. The most common illnesses associated with hoarding disorder are mood, thought, or anxiety disorders, obsessive-compulsive disorders, attention deficit disorders, and substance use disorders. The frontal lobe is a part of the brain that manages higher-level executive functions. When we categorize, think abstractly, and make decisions, the frontal lobe coordinates with other parts of the brain. A person with a solidly functioning frontal lobe can make decisions in a timely manner, be focused, and can plan. There is evidence that changes occur in the frontal lobe of individuals who are diagnosed with hoarding disorder, and that their brains are wired differently. The frontal lobe does not communicate with other parts of the brain, creating deficits in acquiring and discarding information appropriately. Simply illustrated, let's look at a pile of buttons. A person with a properly functioning frontal lobe will put all the buttons in a labeled jar to differentiate them from non-button items. A person with a poorly functioning frontal lobe will be confused and won't know where to begin. They might pile buttons by shape, size, or color, age, or purpose of the button. In the end, they cannot create a classification system, or they form hundreds of piles which take up space. The task becomes overwhelming and cannot be finished.
It is estimated that hoarding disorder affects 2 to 5% of the population. In Fairfax County alone, with a population of more than 1.1 million people, it is estimated that up to 22,000 people are living in a hoarded home right now.
Some people are not ready to receive the advice, but I think there's a point in someone's life where they're either having to face it because of their housing or property manager in which they live. There's some code violations and there's safety issues surrounding it, and they're put in a situation where they have to make a change. They're forced into it. And in those situations, sometimes that's when you are able to have the most clarity because you're forced to do it out of necessity, it's not even a want anymore. It's just, you have to do this. You get it done.
In my 30 years working as a public servant in the field of geriatric social work, I have had the opportunity to be in many homes of those with hoarding disorder. I'd like to take a moment to share some lessons we professional helpers have learned from our clients. Clinically, we now know that brain scans reveal different patterns of cerebral activation in those with true hoarding disorder. Practically, this means this disorder is now covered by insurances that will pay therapists, and that those with the disorder are a protected class in terms of laws, such as the Americans with Disabilities Act.
The impact of hoarding disorder on people's lives can be monumental. Individuals put themselves at risk for injury or death by living in increasingly dangerous conditions. This can cause tremendous and long-lasting impacts on relationships with friends and family members that live with or care about these individuals. If you or someone you know is experiencing hardship associated with hoarding disorder, please don't hesitate to reach out to Fairfax County for assistance. You can visit our website or contact the following agencies. There is no time like the present to get someone the help they need to begin living their best life.
Yo, MC Bug Z, we're dropping rhymes to target Lyme disease. Calling attention to prevention, so please use repellent and do a tick check. Upper Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Nod your headache if you got bullseye rash, fever, fatigue. We're dropping rhymes to target Lyme disease. Calling attention to prevention, so please use repellent and do a tick check. Upper Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Nod your headache if you got bullseye rash, fever, fatigue. Watch your back in the woods, brushy spots and leaf litter. Walk the center of trails, don't be arachnid dinner. 8 lays are creeping in that overhanging vegetation. Stop these blood-sucking parasites with inflammation. Eliminate brush piles, that's where rodents like to kick it. Lyme runs in their blood, larvae pick it up when they sip it. Hunker down for several months to survive the winter. And spring infected nymphs emerge to seek blood from the leaf litter. Yo, ticks dig humidity, keep the yard trimmed. Mind the edge where your lawn transitions to woodland. They like it overgrown, so keep the grass mowed. Ticks are known to seek hosts wherever wildlife roam. We're dropping rhymes to target Lyme disease. Calling attention to prevention, so please use repellent and do a tick check. Upper Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Nod your headache if you got bullseye rash, fever, fatigue. We're dropping rhymes to target Lyme disease. Calling attention to prevention, so please use repellent and do a tick check. Upper Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Nod your headache if you got bullseye rash, fever, fatigue. In both the heat of the summer and when it's chilly outside, ticks are questing for hosts, basically blood in a ride. Arms waving, they're saving graces when you brush on by. They cling on with tiny hooks, they don't jump, drop, or fly. Apply repellent to your clothing as well as exposed skin. New CDC recommended active ingredients. IR 3535, Dieter Picaridin. Treat clothing with 0.5% permethrin, but never skin. Bathe the shower ASAP when you get back inside. Check your body with a mirror, cause ticks like to hide. Examine gear and pets for hitchhikers and stowaways. Dry clothing with high heat, ticks will die post-haste. We're dropping rhymes to target Lyme disease. Calling attention to prevention, so please use repellent and do a tick check. Upper Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Nod your headache if you got bullseye rash, fever, fatigue. We're dropping rhymes to target Lyme disease. Calling attention to prevention, so please use repellent and do a tick check. Upper Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Nod your headache if you got bullseye rash, fever, fatigue. Early summer's the time for most Lyme disease cases. In May, the tiny nymphs reach peak population. Last summer they got infected. Don't let them go undetected. Stay protected. Treat yourself to a full body inspection. You found a tick? Don't panic. Use tweezers to grab it close to the head. Pull slow and steady until it detaches. Clean and disinfect the site, then watch your bod for 30 days. Call up the doc if you get rash, fever, fatigue, or headache. Black-legged ticks feed and drop, you may not even know. Often they bite out of sight, later the symptoms show. If you spend time outside, then ask your doc about Lyme. Treat a bull when detected early, yo. Most of the time, we're dropping rhymes.
Next up on County Magazine, Arts Fairfax, the county's premier arts organization, continues to celebrate poetry in May. From the student next door to the poet laureate of Virginia, Arts Fairfax aims to amplify all voices through poetry and create a community that celebrates artistic expression.
Hello, my name is Brian Hill, and I am the County Executive for Fairfax County. April is celebrated as National Poetry Month across the United States and in Fairfax County. National Poetry Month seeks to highlight the extraordinary legacy and ongoing achievement of American poets, introduce Americans to the pleasures and benefits of reading poetry, bring poetry and poets to the public in immediate and innovative ways, and to make poetry an important part of a child's education. Fairfax County's inaugural Poet Laureate, Nicole Tong, has curated the program Poetry Lives here to reflect the lived experiences of the diverse residents of our Fairfax County. Ms. Tong's tenure has focused on living poets, and Arts Fairfax has invited a community member to read a poem by a living poet for each day of this month. I invite you to take part in National Poetry Month and to take advantage of the wonderful resources available in Fairfax County for this exceptional art form. To celebrate National Poetry Month, I will be reading Crossing by Jericho Brown. The water is one thing and one thing for miles. The water is one thing making this bridge, built over the water another. Walk it early, walk it back when the day goes dim. Everyone rising just to find a way toward rest again. We work, start on one side of the day like a planet's only sun. Our eyes straight until the flame sinks. The flame sinks. Thank God I'm different. I figured and counted. I'm not crossing to the cross back. I'm set on something vast. It reaches long as the sea. I'm more than a conqueror, bigger than bravery. I don't march. I'm the one who leaps. Crossing by Jericho Brown.
Hello, this is Luisa A. Igloria. I am a poet and professor at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia, and I am reading a poem from a chapbook called What is Left of Wings, I Ask. And the poem is Creed for the Drowned. Not everything we need is granted. For instance, there is the outhouse. There is the boat with its lock and oar. When the sun shines, it says love is brave. We go and lie down in our rooms while calculating the price of a bed. Whose cries climb the walls, dark green and braided with ivy. From the bottom of the well, a circle rimmed with light is electric. Carve a number with a side of chalk. Tap out a message to that prisoner our living would most like to survive.
Well, that does it for this edition of County Magazine. Thanks for joining me. Remember, there are countless ways to get involved in your community and make Fairfax County an even better place to live, work, play, and express yourself. I'm Brian Ashby, and we'll see you next time on County Magazine.